Welcome to Elselah Books Podcast. So let's dive into this incredible story that begins, funny enough, not at the start, but at a sudden and really unexpected end. Picture this. It's Cairo, 1917. We're right in the middle of World War I. A funeral is underway for a YMCA chaplain, and he's being laid to rest with full military honors. The man's name was Oswald Chambers. He was only 43 years old. And for those who knew him, his death felt like a tragedy, a life's work cut way too short. You'd think his story was over, but here's the thing. This ending, it was actually just the beginning. To really get this, we've got to go back and understand the man himself. So let's start with Chapter 1, An Artist's Calling. Oswald was a man who felt pulled in two completely different directions. On one hand, his first love was art. He was studying at the Royal College of Art, totally inspired by the City of London. But on the other hand, friends kept saying, you should be a minister. He just brushed it off, even told a friend God would have to literally throw him into ministry. Well, before long, his art commissions started to dry up.
Now, this wasn't some easy flip of a switch. In fact, it was the start of an incredibly difficult time for him. Even after he began to pursue ministry, he entered what he called 4 years of hell on earth. Outwardly, he was doing all the right things, but inside, he felt absolutely nothing, totally disconnected from God.
So after years of this internal struggle, you might think the turning point would be some grand, flashy vision, but it wasn't. His answer came from a really quiet, simple act of faith. It all happened during a prayer meeting. He just stood up and admitted he couldn't do it on his own. He simply asked God for the Holy Spirit, holding on to this one single promise from the book of Luke. It was a really simple request, but it came from a place of total desperation. And that simple request and the profound answer he received, well, it shaped everything that came next. Which leads us to the second and maybe most crucial part of this story, a partnership of purpose. You see, you can't really talk about Oswald Chambers' story without talking about someone else's. In 1908, he met a woman named Gertrude Hobbs. He gave her this affectionate nickname, Beloved Disciple, or BD, which pretty soon just became Biddy. Their partnership was the absolute foundation of his work. And here is the key detail, the thing that changes everything. Biddy was a highly trained court stenographer. That was her profession. And from the very beginning, I'm talking from their honeymoon onward, she started using this incredible skill to capture everything Oswald said. She wasn't just a supportive wife. She was the archivist of his voice. Together, they opened a Bible training college in London, and it was a whirlwind of activity, constant teaching, tons of guests, and eventually the birth of their daughter, Kathleen. But through all of that chaos, what was Biddy doing? She was always there, in the background, quietly capturing every single lesson in her shorthand notebooks. This life they had built together was about to be tested in the most extreme way possible, which brings us to our third chapter, A Legacy of Love. When World War I broke out, it uprooted their entire life. Oswald volunteered as a chaplain and was shipped off to Egypt. And Biddy, with their young daughter Kathleen, they went right along with him, taking their whole ministry to the desert camps outside Cairo. So there they are, in the middle of the desert, surrounded by soldiers. He's teaching, and she's writing it all down, just like always. But then, tragedy strikes, an emergency surgery for a ruptured appendix, and Oswald Chambers dies. He was only 43 years old. Now, what's so amazing is that the legacy we know today wasn't born from some grand plan. It started with a tiny act of remembrance. A friend suggested, hey, why don't we print one of his sermons for the soldiers as a Christmas gift? So Biddy went to her archive of notes, and the response to that one little booklet was so powerful, it sparked a life's mission for her. What started as a small tribute just exploded, and Biddy realized she was sitting on an absolute treasure trove. This brings us to our final chapter, his utmost, her mission. So Biddy goes back to England, a widow, raising her daughter all by herself. And she dedicates the rest of her life to a single extraordinary task. She supported herself by running a boarding house, and in her spare time, she painstakingly transcribed all those notes. Then, in 1927, she published this book, a daily devotional that has never, ever gone out of print. And get this, she would go on to publish over 30 books from those notes, all under Oswald's name. She never once added her own, because the power of their shared work was its accessibility. The message was simple. A profound life with God was possible for anyone, no matter who you were. And it really leaves you with this final thought, doesn't it? We tend to focus on the person with the public voice, the one up on stage. But this story shows us a completely different kind of legacy. Oswald provided the voice, for sure, but it was Biddy's quiet, decades-long mission that ensured it would never fall silent. Thank you for listening, and do subscribe to our channel for more.